on, man?
Yeah, man. Well, we're gonna be talking about. I'm gonna first start off with Michael Rubin. He was at some type of forum or press conference or something like this. He was still going in on Meek Mill's trial judge, Judge Brinkley, and I want to play this audio for the people on YouTube and the podcast. And we can talk about this. And man, here we go. Michael Rubin.
Over the weekend, I read a story. I don't know how many people saw. The Inquirer wrote a phenomenal story about a man by the name of Maurice Hudson. Maurice Hudson, when he was 19 years old, was involved in a robbery. Over the past 10 years, he's not committed a new crime. So 10 years, no new crime. He has $1,900 in back fines, probation costs, different fines involved from his original crime. He has 2 kids with special needs. He's a stay-at-home father while his partner works. So this is, to me, what I look like as a very, this is situations you want to hear about. Someone who's not gotten in trouble for 10 years, taking care of the kids who have special needs. He couldn't afford to pay $1,900 in fines. Judge Brinkley, by the way, Meek Mill's judge, just put him in prison for 18 to 36 months. He's in prison for being poor. Now, I read that story on Sunday. And by the way, I never heard about the situation before. And we're not generally, the Reform Alliance is about changing laws. But when you see something that's disturbing like this, we cannot let things like this happen. So think about this. $1,900 in fines and penalties. He can't afford to pay it. He's now in prison. He's got 2 kids. We're ruining his life. We're ruining his family. And by the way, we're spending $40,000 or $50,000 to put him in prison. Right. It couldn't be less logical. I mean, this is, as much as I lived through Meek's situation, and it was heart-wrenching to me, hearing about someone who's, I think, sounds like been a pretty model person over the past 10 years, never committed another crime, taking care of 2 kids with special needs, and in prison because he can't afford $1,900 for 18 to 36 months, that is the most disgusting and unacceptable thing I've ever heard. And that's why we started the Reform Alliance.
A story about a young man who was just railroaded by the justice system there in the state of Pennsylvania, particularly the same judge that Meek Mill had. What are your thoughts on that?
I wanted you to go first. I wanted to hear your perspective. But
go ahead.
I want you to
you could look at it a lot of different ways. Now, you're going to have some people are going to say he should have never put himself in that position. But I'm going to say, man, I really like, the fact that this, Michael Rubin being a billionaire is really speaking out about this particular thing, because so many people in his position just don't care. They have money. He has no reason to actually care, but he's seen a situation with Meek Mill, and now the floodgates are open. And obviously, I mean, when you just look at logically, and this guy's a phenomenal businessman, he says that they're taking $40,000 to $50,000 to house this person, whether it's a year or whatever it is, in prison. Let's just say a year. It's probably more than that. He only owes $1,900 in fine. How could it be anywhere ethical where you could be sentencing him to jail time for 18 months when he has a family to take care of? And most likely, then we talk about the child support and all that, but you got a man who's in the house taking care of his family. Now, I've been in a system and I had, nothing like this, but I had a situation, similar, where the system fumbled and the people still have to pay. So pretty much you're at the whim of whatever the system wants you, to do. And it's going on, not just this guy, but, thousands of people each day in a city like Philly. Hundreds of thousands of people are being railroaded each day. This Judge Brinkley, and other judges like this need to be taken out of position, because you're just ruining people's lives. I mean, 10 years. This dude, people make mistakes in life. I made mistakes. You made mistakes. It happens. But to continue to hold it over somebody's head for 10 years, it falls under the line of cruel and unusual punishment. I got to salute Michael Rubin for bringing this to light, Sam, man, because a lot of people don't care.
No, they don't. And when I watched it a few times, I watched it as I was picking my kids up at school, and then I showed you we were in our pre-production. And knowing Michael Rubin to the limited amounts that I know, being in the casino industry and seeing him years in the casino industry and watching him take millions and turning into billions, and just like, whoa, you got to admire that. But to hear him speak about it, one could easily go, okay, well, it's $1,900. Why did you pay for it? Because he said $1,900 the guy's poor. And to him, $1,900 is very poor. And in hindsight, it's very poor. But we're conditioned to believe that $1,900 is a lot of money, a whole lot of money. So this brother being $1,900 short, him being in a position where he can help, it's easy to go, hey, you do it. But let's talk about how fucked up the system is. And I had to be honest with you, oh God, I was a little naive to this up until a couple years ago, because I had got caught up in a situation out on the Parkway where I was smoking a joint, chilling out. White van pulls up on me, locks me up. Oh, you're under. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? All they found on me was a joint. That's it. That was my second time being caught with a joint. That's it. And I had to go up to court. And I had my girl wanting to come with me. I had family wanting to come with me. This, that, and the third. I'm like, why y'all tripping? I had 2 joints in 3 years. I ain't going to jail.
Right.
And then when I heard what the fuck could have possibly happened, I could have went to jail that day for 2 joints in 3 years. And it just kind of gave me a real smack, hard, harsh punch in the face that this system is effed up. It's gut-wrenching to know that people, in particular, our people, are caught up in situations where he couldn't pay a fine. So he's supposed to do 3 years in jail. Probably doesn't have money because the system has done him so dirty that he can't go and get a job because he has a felony on his record, and they won't allow him to go get employment. So he has looks like a great family system around him. His woman's out here taking care of business while he takes care of the kids. They don't got to pay for daycare. They don't got to pay for this. They got a good foundation going on while they take care of business. But $1,900 is a huge chunk to people who are working and living check by check. I don't care if you're making millions. I don't care if you're making pennies. It's a lot to just go ahead and chalk out. And it's as opposed to Judge Brinkley, who you would assume in this situation would just have a little bit of compassion, because I don't care what you say or not. Personal feelings go into these gavels being thrown. Personal feelings were involved with her doing this to Meek. I'm sure personal feelings were involved with judges throughout here looking at this black face going, nah, he's nothing, blah, 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 whatever. Where's the compassion and understanding and going, listen, where's the payment plan? I don't know if it was done, but look, let's do it again. Anything that you can do to keep this man out of the system further and to keep him with his family should be the ultimate goal, but it ain't. Yeah, it's flawed, man.
Yeah, and it's like when you talk about, the 1,900, of course it's a lot, for somebody struggling. I mean, you might not ever come across, except for income tax time. We know how it is. You had that type of money in your bank account when you're only making $12, $13 an hour, and the overhead and the rent is just so much. I get it. But what happens here with this particular case is she violates them, because now once you can't pay your fines, because one time I was driving and I owed $5,000 in probation fines and I hadn't paid, and I ain't thinking anything of it, and the cop was like, yo, you got a superior court warrant, no bail. They locked me up, because I didn't pay the fine. So it shouldn't be that way, but it is, and that needs to change. You shouldn't be, first of all, I don't believe you should be locked up over money like that you owe the state. All right, put it on my credit, send the credit judgment man after me, and I should get locked up for it. So once again, Reform Alliance, this is the type of cases that they're handling, and us with the media putting this out there, hopefully, it could begin a trickle-down effect and some change. And it just highlights that the system is unfair, it's skewed, and it needs to be altogether deconstructed and rebuilt. I don't know how much change can be done from the inside, but it is a start.
Salute to Michael Rubin in closing. Like you said in the beginning, I really appreciate, and I'm very happy that he came out and publicly spoke about this, because he did not have to. You see situations far too often where white privilege, puts blinders on a lot of people's eyes who claim not to be racist. And he is one who admittedly said he had blinders on until a good friend of his, who happened to be a famous rapper, went through the situation. Now the blinders are off and he can see things for what it is, and he's speaking out about it. That's all we want. And I think that is worth far more than the $1,900, even though I feel like they're going to get it together and his brother will get out of prison, even through these actions right here and people spreading the word. But him doing this goes far beyond him putting money out over and over and over and over and over again. He's trying to really invoke change. And I think that a lot of people in position, when they see a lot of people with money, they want to put their hands out, but got to understand what's going on behind the scenes that's really affecting the situation. Yeah. As opposed to those week by week blessings that you want to receive. Now you got to invest, plant the seed, and watch the shit grow. Yeah. Yeah. And bottom line is that lady needs to be out of office. But the thing is, it's probably
you know, I would say thousands, if not more, judges work like her or worse, police officers, bailiffs, whatever, you know, the whole system, I think, is corrupt. And you just gotta, so first of all, don't get involved, but if you do, you're at the whim of whatever they want to do to you.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, it's harder to look at a black woman as a man when you're looking at almost like a motherly figure sitting above you, and she looks at you like you're the worst piece of trash in the world. That's does something to your mental, man.
I've been there, Sam, man, in a situation where, you know, I was being brought in to Superior Court and being given pretty much a bail hearing. And, you know, the white folks, you know, they were saying we recommend, the attorney that I had at the time, so we recommend ROR, release on his own recognizance. That's what they, you know, the black lady, young, you know, attorney said, no, we want him, you know, he has other pending charges, pending cases. We don't want him to be released. I'm like, whoa. But, you know, and the judge was the judge. See, what happens is the judge, they listen to my lawyer, then they'll ask the prosecutor, do you have any objection? Usually they'll say no. Same thing happened with Meek Mill, you know what I mean? The same sort of situation. So the system can be like that. And when you see your own people that do it, it hurts.
It does something to you. It has to. I've never been in that situation. I've had a judge in Pleasantville that I had to deal with, but that was love. That was love.
That black dude?
Nah, it was the black woman.
Oh, yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
She cursed me out for paying my fines for my weed. I went to California real quick. I ain't pay shit. And I had to come back and had to deal with that. She was understanding.
Right.
That's all you asked for. She dug in my ass up there, you know what I mean? When I was sitting there, I had to listen to it.
Right.
But I ain't go to jail that day, and I could have.
Right.
So.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, you're tuned into the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast with your brother, Old God and Samuel. And episode 246. If you're enjoying the content, that particular segment, hit the 5-star rating. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can get all future episodes.